Welcome everybody. Welcome fellow patriots. Welcome fellow deplorables. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network with a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. And, of course, we're also seen on the AUN TV network in Northern California. As our producer, Rick Trader, says, we are everywhere. We are everywhere. My co-host today is Melissa Isaacs. Welcome, Melissa Isaacs.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Well, no virus here. I'm fine. How about you?
No virus here, no symptoms. Everything's good here. I'm actually ready for everything just to open back up and hopefully get back to normal as quick as possible.
As quick as possible. You're right about that. I know that I've been kind of out there surfing. I think there's been a lot of people out there surfing, trying to figure out what we're really dealing with this virus and how we're supposed to be affected if we have it. How do you know if you have it? Maybe you should be going and you didn't know you should go to get tested, or at least tell somebody. And I'm finding out that it has to do with a terrific headache and a lot of aching in your joints. So those are really symptoms of this. And I was talking to my husband last night about it, and I said, remember last fall, it was late in the fall, I said, remember you came home from church and said, oh, I ache all over. I have this horrible headache. I don't think I can live through this. And you went to bed. And he says, yeah, I remember that. I said, I wonder if you might have had it then. And we had a guest yesterday talking about that. There's many who've experienced these kinds of symptoms, thought, boy, that was a weird thing, because they got over it fairly quickly and just went on as if nothing really had happened. They just remember, boy, that was kind of tough when I went through that, but they didn't have the respiratory stuff, just the aching. And our guest said, at the end of this, we may find that when people are actually tested, they will have antibodies or immunities to this, which means they've already had it. And what we are now going to be experiencing is a kind of herd immunity. And so we should be thinking about maybe it's time to get back to work. And I think the president is thinking about that.
Well, he needs to be thinking about that, because a collapsed economy could actually be more hazardous to our health than any pandemic could possibly be. And it's scary already. I mean, there's a lot of people unemployed. There's a lot of people claiming unemployment. A lot of businesses are shut down. A lot are shut down just even on a part-time basis. So it's important that we get up and running. And there's going to be significant damage done already. Hopefully we can recover. Hopefully we can fully recover and maybe even come back stronger. But I don't think anybody really knows the extent of what the damage is going to be right now. And, I've heard some people who have it, younger people, they were completely asymptomatic. And then it ranges to, I was reading on social media, one of my clients' moms actually went to the emergency room because she was in such respiratory distress. And then she was diagnosed with the coronavirus. But the spectrum really seems to be all over the place. And so some of it looks like a cold symptom, sometimes it's flu-like symptoms, sometimes it's just respiratory. So it's kind of hard to tell. So that's a good point, Sharon. We don't know how many people have actually had it. Maybe had no idea that they had it and got over it. And hopefully there's some herd immunity. Hopefully.
Right. Well, our media doesn't help us. They are certainly wanting this panic, wanting this crisis to continue. They're taking advantage of it, and we've got politicians taking advantage of it as well. It seems like they really seem to want to stall us out and not let us get back to work, get back to school, get back to our daily lives.
Yeah, it sure seems like they want to hurt our capitalist society as much as they can. And maybe this is the way that they want to usher in socialism. I don't know. I don't know how anybody who can read or write or learn their history could look at a socialist country and say, yeah, that's a good thing. That's what we need to bring over here. Look at Venezuela. I think that's a prime example. 15 years ago, they were one of the richest countries, and now they're soup lines over there. I don't want that for our country. I think the vast majority of Americans don't want that for our country. But, I believe completely that there are some people out there, some socialists, who think that that is better than our capitalist society. Certainly is not. I like what they're doing in Israel. So I read an article where what Israel is doing is they're quarantining their 60 and over. They're quarantined, and everybody else is business as usual. They're keeping the economy going. And, we need to consider, if this goes past Easter, we need to consider doing something so we can keep the economy turning.
Well, and that makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you're 60 or older, and even if you wanted to go 65 and older, many people retire around 60, 65, so they're not dependent on the day-to-day job for their livelihood, and their family's not dependent upon that either. And many of them now are empty nesters, so there's not someone that's dependent upon them to fix meals and do the grocery shopping and all of that kind of stuff. It really does make sense that the most vulnerable to this disease would be the ones being quarantined, not the whole society. In fact, I found an article making suggestions on how we could get back to work. And the third suggestion is, if we're going to quarantine anybody, let's only quarantine people over 70 with an underlying health condition like diabetes, heart disease, respiratory disease, and the like. A striking 95% of coronavirus deaths in Italy, for instance, have come among folks who are over 70 and have pre-existing conditions. The average age of death from the virus in Italy is 81. There is no need to shut down our entire country to protect this vulnerable segment of our population. We can and should focus on protecting them while letting America get back to work. So I thought that was interesting that this guy's suggesting it. Israel's actually saying we're doing it. And it is a way that our president, he said, let's get back to work. Easter should be the end of this. Let's do that. Obviously, we could do that one thing and get most of the nation back to work on Monday morning and back to school. If we're really thinking that we want to protect the ones that are apt to die from this, the rest of us, we can probably survive a little bit of the aches and pains, a cough, a bit of the flu, like we do every year.
Absolutely.
But just quarantine those ones that can't.
That's right, and we have to be productive. We have to be producing again because, we have our currency system is a fiat currency system. We can't just keep printing money. So even though the stimulus package, that's great, right? The stimulus package, it gives Americans a little boost. It gives them some help through this time. But you guys, I think we're going to be paying for that down the road. It's called inflation, and it's coming. So people don't understand. We can't just we're printing more money. We can't print money. If we did it, it's illegal, right? But if the government does it, it's not illegal.
It's called stimulus.
Right. But there's still consequences down the road. So we have to get the economy running again. We got to keep especially our small businesses. They're so important. We got to keep those up and running. But yes, we got to start being productive again.
Well, we have some great guests that are going to be talking about just those things on the other side of our breaks today. We do have to go to a break, but you and I will be right back after this break. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. Of course, now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaacs, and we'll be right back after this break to tell you about the guests we're going to have on today's show.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Billet, I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And don't forget to like us and friend us and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Melissa, we've got 3 great guests today. Would you tell us who they are?
Yes. So our first guest, and let me grab this, I'm sorry, will be Mr. Steve Milloy. And Mr. Steve Milloy is a recognized leader in the fight against junk science with more than 25 years of accomplishment and experience. He's the founder of junkscience.com and a policy advisor to the Heartland Institute. And that's really, junk science, there's so much junk science floating around the internet, so it's great that there's somebody out there, someone reliable and trustworthy that we can actually go to and read between the lines, because who knows, you can't trust academic institutions anymore, so it's great that there's somebody like that out there. Then we have Mr. Stephen Moore. Mr. Stephen Moore is the senior economic contributor for FreedomWorks. He communicates FreedomWorks' vision for a pro-growth economic agenda to grassroots activists and media nationwide, as well as conducting original economic analysis. Stephen previously served as president of the Club for Growth, chief economist of the Heritage Foundation, and as a member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. So that should be a good one. And then we have Mr. Bob Barr. He's a congressman, actually, Congressman Bob Barr. He represented Georgia's 7th District in the House of Representatives from 1995 to 2003. He now practices law in Atlanta and is the chairman of Liberty Guard, a nonprofit pro-liberty organization. He also heads the Law Enforcement Education Foundation and a consulting firm, Liberty Strategies. So that's this So he's got experience in the law, which is great. He's got experience in legislative matters, because all this stuff flows through the legislature and it flows through attorneys, and so I bet he's got a pretty good perspective on all this, because our liberty's under attack right now.
Of course, and he's been on our show many times, as has Stephen Moore. They're pretty much long-time friends of the show, and we always get great insight from them, and Steve Milloy as well. So we're looking forward to those great guests today. They are the hallmark of our show, and what makes Conservative Commandos a place to be to get your news, right?
That's right.
And speaking of that news, I want to go back to this article, Melissa, where we discussed the third point, which was quarantine those who are at risk and let the rest of the nation get back to work. And as you pointed out, Israel's got that one already figured out. He suggests the first thing is to let everyone who does not have the coronavirus symptoms go back to work and school, that there's no concrete scientific evidence that asymptomatic people can infect others. All the evidence is circumstantial, and urge folks, of course, to be smart and sensible, wash their hands regularly, maintain social distancing if possible. He says he notes that when the coronavirus task force gives briefings on the lethal dangers of the virus, they all cluster around whoever is at the microphone as if they're afraid their faces won't be on TV. No more social distancing there. I thought that was a funny point to make, but it is. It has been really interesting to see at the beginning of this when the president started calling for social distancing, and he had the press corps there ready to ask the questions. They were all sitting shoulder to shoulder.
They were.
And they were ready to get right in his face if he would have allowed it. So, they're all screaming social distancing, but that's for you, not them.
do as I say,
right.
Not as I do. That's right. And I was in Walmart the other day, and they have these little blue stickers, and they're 6 feet apart. So when you walk in, you can gauge and to stay 6 feet apart from each other. And then obviously we don't want to transmit this all around. We don't. But if people would just be reasonable, use a little common sense, you can get back to work. My office has been open every day since the coronavirus, and we offer telephone consultations if a client comes in. It's a big conference room, but people can just use a little common sense and keep everything going, keep it rolling.
Well, that's right. And you don't have more than 10 people in your business at a time. So, right. You're completely within the guidelines. I'm really nervous, and we'll talk about that in a minute, too, about how this is affecting our civil rights. But I'll just get to that second point, and then we can move on to that piece. He says, second, urge people to self-quarantine the moment they begin to experience symptoms by staying home from school and work. This is exactly the same advice we always give with regard to contagious diseases. Coronavirus carriers are the most contagious in the first 5 days. Then let's start symptomatics on the chloroquine regimen immediately. This is not an untested drug. Many doctors have seen amazing results, even with sick patients. There are multiple Americans who have publicly testified that they were at death's door and were saved by chloroquine, and that goes for a Democrat legislator now who has said, President Trump saved my life because I wouldn't have known about hydroxychloroquine if he hadn't announced it on television and said, I think it's a game changer. So, there is some validity to that. We do now know that there is, if you catch it in time, and don't let it get too far gone, this has really been an effective way to stop the symptoms, and also it seems to be almost a miracle cure. Some of the testimonies that I've heard is within hours people are feeling better.
Yeah, and I've seen on social media a lot of doctors are coming forward and saying, hey, look, there's, don't be afraid of this drug. It's one of the most tested drugs out there. I want to say for the last 30 or 40 years, it's been tested.
Since 1944.
1944, so even longer. So But yet, President Trump names this medication, and you have some Democrats that come out and say, oh, they're banning it. Your governor, right? Ban the use of that drug. I'm not sure under what authority he has to do that. But if President Trump said, whatever you do, don't jump off a bridge, sometimes I think these people would line up and they'd jump off the bridge just because he said not to do it. Maybe he should try it. I don't know. Maybe he should suggest that.
Maybe. I wanted to point out that one of your native sons, Dr. Roy Spencer of the University of Alabama at Huntsville, was astonished to see the correlation when he plotted the outbreak in malarial countries versus non-malarial countries. He said he'd never seen anything so dramatic in his career, and that is that the malarial countries have been using chloroquine since 1944, and these 40 to 50 countries show virtually no trace of coronavirus. So it may even have some prophylactic benefits. You take it and you don't get it. So I know we were talking to a fellow out of Georgia who goes to Africa every year, and he was talking before about how we didn't really need to worry about malaria because they pass out chloroquine like Pez there. Everybody takes it because when you're going during the malaria season, everybody watches out for it. And it's interesting that these countries really do not have coronavirus. So I think that this was a good article. I wanted us to take some hope today in that idea that we're not going to be exposed to it, that there are remedies out there that where we can protect ourselves. We can get back to work.
We can, and one thing I really like about this is everyone's been civil. Neighbors are taking supplies over if another neighbor doesn't have something, and there hasn't been sort of this panic or hysteria that the media thought that might happen. So I've been pleasantly surprised, and I think most of the people that I speak with, they're ready. They're ready to get back to work. They feel like they've done their part, stayed home, was very cautious, and and I hear more people getting the coronavirus, but honestly, it's a range of symptoms, and it's nothing that we can't handle. But we don't need to shut down. It's time.
Yeah, it's time. We've shut down enough, and I think you're right about that, Melissa Isaacs. Well, we need to go to another break, and we'll be, of course, right back, Melissa and I, with our guests for the day. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. Of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. Places like San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Sacramento, Chico, California. All of these are part of our AUN TV network, and soon we'll have stations opening up in northern Nevada, Reno, Carson City, and Lake Tahoe. But for now, we're going to go to a break. Stay with us, and we'll see you right after that.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaacs, and we're going to do a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas, and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and now you can see us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. And Melissa, our first guest is ready. Would you please introduce him?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Milloy. Steve is a recognized leader in the fight against junk science with more than 25 years of accomplishment and experience. He's the founder of junkscience.com and a policy advisor to the Heartland Institute. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So you had written an article entitled Never Waste a Crisis, Climate Alarmism Surfs Coronavirus. Tell us about that article. What prompted you to write that?
Well, coronavirus is obviously a real crisis, and it has just sopped up all our attention spans. And, if you're a climate activist or a climate bedwetter, as I like to refer to them as, this has just basically sucked all the oxygen out of your room, and you're starving for attention. And so all these climate activists are trying to, not waste the crisis, surf the coronavirus crisis to advance their agenda. And so what I did for the Heartland Institute was just put together a collection of probably almost 70 tweets from a broad variety of climate activists across the spectrum, media activists, other climate alarmists, and some of them are really quite astounding.
Yeah. And maybe you could connect the dots for me, because I can't. What does the coronavirus have to do with climate change?
Well, nothing.
Okay.
You could say that, well, the same people who denied coronavirus are the same people who deny climate, change are, so we didn't, those people were proven to be wrong, so therefore they're wrong on climate. They've completely made up this whole thing. Although President Trump was really, he took the lead in banning travel between the U.S. and China, and then Europe. They nevertheless call him a coronavirus denier. And so because he denied coronavirus, that his position on climate is wrong, and climate is really the overarching disaster. Coronavirus that crisis is going to end soon, and then we're going to go right into the climate crisis. That's their fantasy.
Yeah, so I was looking through some of the tweets, and we have Greta Thunberg here saying coronavirus lockdown and spending proves we can do the same for climate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around that.
Well, we spent $2 trillion on coronavirus, so that means we can spend $30 trillion on Bernie Sanders, Green New Deal, right? Because two is like 30, and a trillion is the same. So yeah, no, it's totally crazy.
I have another one here from Socialist Party USA. Capitalism gave us COVID-19, so socialism now.
Right. So how ironic is that? COVID comes out of
communist China.
Either a department or a virology lab or whatever. Then they lied and covered it up because they're communists, and it's capitalism. It's crazy.
So let me ask you, how are these people actually effective in putting out these tweets that really they're nonsensical? But how effective are they using this coronavirus to advance the climate change agenda?
Well, only time is going to tell. I don't think they're being effective at all. I think they're sort of talking amongst themselves. I don't really see this. The more sensible ones among them are saying, let's just lay low for a while and not try to exploit this. But, crazy is crazy, and it can't stay bottled up. So they, today, okay, the Pope came out, keep in mind, the Pope came out and said that coronavirus is nature's revenge for climate change. He didn't say it was God's revenge. He said it was nature's revenge. This is, he's a pantheist now.
Yeah.
We're being punished for, the whole thing, these people you can't keep the crazy bottled up.
Yeah, I like your saying, crazy is crazy, but crazy times crazy is still crazy. And that's what I'm reading through this, and there's so many, and they're reputable. I say reputable. They have name recognition nonetheless. But at what point is there any sort of responsibility for putting out accurate information? Is anybody looking at that? At the accuracy of what the people are saying?
Response to coronavirus. The public health bureaucracy, which has been Democrat owned and operated for the last 40 years, they're constantly wrong. Fauci was constantly wrong. He's been all over the place.
Wow.
No accountability for that either.
Yeah. So, the Heartland.com, they published some reports. It's all right. So, the Heartland.com has published some reports amid some complaints that Democrats have been trying to shoehorn some of their agenda. So, help me explain what is Heartland.org? What are they doing to sort of combat some of the false information putting out there by the left?
Well, Heartland's a free market think tank. It's been around for 30 years. Done a lot of work on a variety of issues. I've been associated with Heartland for 10, 15 years now, working on climate issues. But, basically try to look at things through the free market lens and try to, improve public policy, educate people.
All right. So tell us about junkscience.com.
Well, Junk Science has been around since 1995. I'm a founder and publisher, and what I do is try to spotlight egregiously bad science that is being used to push various agendas. Politicians, trial lawyers, environment activists like environmentalists and food police. There's just a lot of agendas out there to try to use bad science. So I try to use Junk Science to spotlight that. We've been doing it for a very long time, 25 years.
Yeah. So there's a lot of I hate to call it science, but there's a lot of science saying, yes, there's adequate support for climate change. And then there's a lot of science on the other sides that say, no, there's not adequate, credible scientific research for climate change.
So the other side, since really 1988, none of them have turned out to be true. I mean, yes, we've had some a slight bit of warming since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, but nothing that can't be explained by a myriad of factors. And also, since the Industrial Revolution, we've added 6.5 billion people to the planet. Gross, GNP has skyrocketed. There are more people now living healthier lives and having a higher standard of living than ever before. People condemn fossil fuels. Our world is entirely dependent on fossil fuels. People have been condemning plastics. How would we be dealing with the coronavirus crisis with plastic? Think about that. Ask an environmentalist that.
So when you're talking to environmentalists or academics, how open are they to the research that you're publishing on junkscience.com?
They're not open to it at all. The activists they hate, right, is, scientists don't like to have their flaws exposed. I mean, what they like is to issue press releases, have the fake news media just sort of parrot what they've put in their press release, and that becomes science. People just, they read it in the New York Times or Washington Post or AP or see it on CNN, and it's true. And of course, that's rarely the case.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, we're talking right now with Steve Milloy. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. We'll be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back everyone to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, please go to our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And remember to friend us, follow us, retweet us on Facebook and Twitter. And we are here talking with Steve Milloy, who's a recognized leader in the fight against junk science with more than 25 years of accomplishment and experience. And he's the founder of junkscience.com and a policy advisor for the Heartland Institute. Steve's written an article, Nevada's crazy too, but Never Waste a Crisis, Climate Alarmism Surfs Coronavirus. I have to say that Nevada's crazy because, of course, we have a governor here who banned hydroxychloroquine and then stockpiled it in our prisons. So, you said there's a saying out there that you can't fix stupid. Well, I think you can't fix crazy either. And you've really written an article that has a list. I like lists from 1 to 10 of the crazies out there in the climate world trying to get, as you said, a little attention in this coronavirus pandemic alarmism stuff. So let's go through the whole list of 10. First, tell me how you got the list. Is number 1 the most egregious to number 10? Or did you just pick out 10 that were out of a multitude of people? Or tell us how you got those 10.
Well, first off, people are saying stupid things all the time. So, this is really sort of in the past week, I came up with, 70 examples on Twitter where people are trying to, use the coronavirus to advance the climate crisis. And I picked the top 10. They're not really in any order. And there's new egregious ones coming out every day. Like we talked about the Pope earlier. I didn't put that in there. But yeah, I just, it's just, they're in random order.
Random order, random crazies here. Okay, well let's kind of go down the list. You said there's 70 in all, but you just mentioned the 10. Go ahead and you pick out your favorites for us then.
Well, there's the one from the Sky News columnist in the UK who said that coronavirus is a good climate activists should like coronavirus because it's going to pick off and kill older people, many of whom are climate skeptics. Okay, that's pretty cool, right?
Thanks a lot. I've heard that this coronavirus is the boomer doomer, and being a boomer, it makes me feel insecure, to say the least.
It's really something. Then there's the Democratic Socialists of America. Of course, we have to become communists now because of coronavirus. That's somehow going to save the climate. There's the one from, I think it was Democracy for America, which is a left-wing, political action committee or activist group. And, they're the ones that said, well, we spent $2 trillion saving our economy from coronavirus, so this proves we can afford the Green New Deal too. And it's just, you tell me what's your favorite.
Where's my favorite?
They're all nuts, so I don't know where to start.
Yeah, it is. It's really amazing. I noticed that Melissa picked out her favorite ones. There's this teen climate activist, Jamie Margolin, that says because young people, that's right? Awesome. Let's do this one.
Right. So Jamie, I believe her name is Margolin. She's a teen climate activist, and she said that the elderly should be supporting the climate movement because she skipped spring break, and that is some sort of sacrifice that she's allowing. Because younger people skipped spring break, they're allowing the elderly to live, and in gratitude, we should support their climate insanity. It's just unbelievable. And she literally, I'm not, interpolating or extrapolating. I mean, that is what she said. She said that we owe them because they missed spring break.
Right. And they're going to let us live to see the next year. I thought that was real generous there.
Yeah, we've let you live to see next year because we didn't go on spring break. But of course, they didn't go on spring break anyway. So.
Right. Another one that I thought was interesting was
I challenged her on that later on Twitter, and she doubled down on it. I mean, they really feel this way. This is this entitled generation. They don't know one thing from another, but they know that they missed spring break, so we must pay.
We must pay. Well, the Extinction Rebellion, they really have payment in mind.
Yeah.
Talk about them.
Now the Extinction Rebellion, they claim to have they claim that this was some sort of fake tweet, or that they disavowed it, but I don't know. I mean, this is actually how they think. They like the Pope, they're saying that coronavirus is nature's revenge, and that humans are the problem. I believe is what they said. That
we're the disease.
Yeah, we're the
coronavirus is the cure. Wow.
I mean, it's a variation of what the Pope said today. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting who jumps on board. You did another wish list here, and you went through some prominent figures. It says prominent figures also suggested Trump treated the coronavirus like he did climate change, that the pandemic was an opportunity to pursue sustainable growth, and that the pandemic was revealing the weaknesses of the world's economy. I don't get that. We shut the economy down. There was no weakness there. We were strong.
We talked about this in the earlier segment. All this came from, China and its crazy communist totalitarian system over there, and its lack of hygiene. And somehow, capitalism leads to clean countries. I mean, the capitalist countries are the cleanest countries in the world. We have the best environments. We have the healthiest and wealthiest people. And they're trying to blame all this on capitalism. They're so deranged. Their thinking is just so deranged. You can imagine, if you turned over society to these people, where would we be? I mean, they would just erase all the social and economic gains we've made since the beginning of time. They're just a disaster.
Well, it was interesting to see who jumped on board, though. Jane Fonda, Elizabeth Warren. I mean, wow.
Right, everybody. I mean, the whole range of 70. I mean, it's all sorts of political figures and media. It's everybody, all the activists. Yeah, Jane Fonda. Joe Biden has talked about this. It's just everybody.
Well, and Dan Rather, I guess I'm always surprised because, we always thought of Dan Rather as the guy that's bringing us the truth.
Well, not for a long time. That's what cost him his job, right? And he really wasn't delivering the truth. I don't remember exactly what he said, but, it was another one of these efforts to serve coronavirus to advance the climate agenda.
Yeah, he says the denial and lack of preparation, muzzling of exports, and other failures of the Trump administration with coronavirus is also happening with the climate crisis, where havoc is happening a bit more slowly, but the devastation will be much greater.
Yeah, I don't even know whether they really believe this, but they think that it sells to some people. There's apparently a lot of young people that have fallen for this climate nonsense. But I don't know what young person listens to Dan Rather or even knows who he is.
Right. It's just those us old people that are going to live another year. We get it, right? So.
As far as I understand, young people are lucky to find Texas on a map, and they're not listening to Dan Rather.
We've been talking with Steve Milloy here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Steve, tell us how our audience can find you, friend you, follow you, connect with you, read your articles.
Well, I do. I spend a lot of time on Twitter because that just seems to be the battlefield for all the issues I work on. I still have Junk Science, but mostly on Twitter, and you can follow me at Junk Science.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Sure.
Take care and God bless.
Thank you.
And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak, and we'll be right back after this break.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty?
We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear! The debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you would like a rebroadcast of our show today, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. Also, please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Melissa, we have our next guest. He's ready. Would you please introduce him?
Absolutely. So we have Congressman Bob Barr. He represented Georgia's 7th District in the House of Representatives from 1995 to 2003. He now practices law in Atlanta, Georgia, and is chairman of Liberty Guard, a nonprofit pro-liberty organization. He also leads the Law Enforcement Education Foundation and a consulting firm, Liberty Strategies. Congressman Barr, welcome back to the Conservatives Commando radio show.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you. So let's talk about an article you wrote called Trump Correct in Dismissing Schumer's Call for Military Control. Tell us about that article.
It's premised on the notion that which either escapes Senator Schumer or he just deliberately disregards, and that is that we are a constitutional republic that is led by representatives of the people. And while I, like I'm sure yourselves, have tremendous regard for our military, our armed forces, when it comes to domestic matters, it's very, very important that we keep a very, very bright line between civilian authority answerable to the people and military control. And what Senator Schumer recently sent or wrote in a letter that he sent to President Trump was to put a strong military leader in charge of the federal effort to control the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's not the way our system operates. There is a time and a place to use the National Guard, certainly, but the formulation of federal policy and the implementation of federal policy has to remain with civilian authorities, not the military.
So there's been a lot of talk about the National Guard being activated. Some people are afraid of the National Guard. Some people say, let's just activate the National Guard and make people stay in their houses. So there's reserve soldiers and there's National Guard soldiers, and the Guard soldiers are, their commander-in-chief is the governor. I don't think people really understand the difference between a state guard and a federal reserve. Can you sort of talk about the difference between the two?
Well, the National Guard is a very, very important component of both our military and our state civilian authorities. It's sort of a hybrid. When a National Guard unit in Alabama or Georgia or some other state is activated, it comes under the control of the governor, not the president, but the governor. And we use the men and women in our National Guard at times of natural disasters such as Hurricane Katrina or Andrew back in the 90s, or even today, to help carry out non-law enforcement responsibilities. And that's a very, very important distinction. If one were to allow or permit the governors to say, okay, we're going to activate the National Guard in Georgia or Alabama and have them enforce stay-at-home orders, that to me would be a gross violation of what the National Guard is supposed to do and the proper law enforcement authority that should always be vested in the civilian authorities in the state.
At what point would it be considered martial law if we had military authorities or military law governing?
Well, of course, we've had instances where we've had martial law federally, not for a long time. The President Eisenhower, I believe it was, activated the National Guard federally during some of the early, very serious civil rights disturbances in the late 1950s and very early 1960s. But that was a very unusual circumstance. It was a very, very specific and limited role that the Guard at the time was involved in, because the governor in Alabama, George Wallace at the time, I believe it was, maybe his predecessor as well, they were not following federal law on integration of schools, including the federal the universities, the state universities. So where you had a governor who was deliberately violating federal law, the only way to ensure that the laws were carried out with regard to integrating and non-segregating schools in Alabama was to have the National Guard federalized for that very specific limited purpose. But if we were to say in the current environment that the National Guard either federally or under state authority, should be activated with the purpose of ensuring compliance with stay-at-home orders, then I think that would, in fact, cross the line into domestic law enforcement activity by our military, and that is something that we allow only in very, very limited circumstances when specifically authorized by federal law under the Posse Comitatus Act.
Right. And so you used the word I was about to bring up, the Posse Comitatus Act. So that is, now correct me if I'm wrong, the states have to actually request some sort of assistance, but there's what actually has to happen before soldiers in uniform can come in and assist with domestic state matters under Posse Comitatus.
It has to be, regardless of whether the request comes from the state authorities or by the federal government by order of the president, it has to be pursuant to a law that a federal law that permits the military to be involved. We have carved out exceptions, for example, with regard to drug interdiction, and that's not always as bright a line, for example, as it ought to be. If we think back, for example, to the early 90s with the Waco incident in Texas, where the use of the military equipment and advisors was allowed and brought in by the Department of Justice and the Department of Defense, it was pursuant to evidence turned out not to be the case, that laws were being violated at the Branch Davidian compound. Mm-hmm. So regardless even of whether there is a specific law such as assisting with drug interdiction, for example, I think we need to be very, very careful that the factual prerequisite, as it were, is there, and the military are not used improperly, as I think they were at Waco back in the early 1990s.
Right. There's a sentence here in the article where you said, everything New York Senator Chuck Schumer says is political. So, and that is true because either he's ignorant of the Constitution, he's ignorant of the military powers, or he's being political. Is really one better than the other?
No, it's bad all around. Any way you look at it, with the way Schumer is behaving these days. And additionally, Melissa, in the letter that he sent to the president just a few days ago, he also either seems not to understand or here again is deliberately ignorant of the notion that we are a federal republic. We're not a national republic. That is, the majority of powers reside with the states, not the federal government. And while it's very easy to say, well, we have a national pandemic here, therefore the federal government should be taking care of everything, misinterprets, misunderstands, or is deliberately ignorant of the fact that, no, it's not the federal government's responsibility to do everything for the states. It is the state's responsibility, then with very specific overlay of federal involvement. But we have, as you know, certainly, and being in the military yourself and a lawyer, understand that there's a very clear difference between a national system of government and a federal. And there is some gray areas in our system, but states are free to act on their own, except in violation of federal laws or constitutional provisions. And simply because Schumer says, well, we have a federal problem, therefore we can't have differences between how one state and another are responding to this, misinterprets, again, the notion that states may interpret differently how to respond to a particular problem. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and there seems to be a problem right now, I think, with just overall most Americans, even the young kids coming out of school, they're not versed in the Constitution. So we hear our elected officials make statements, like you said here, it might be political, but it's patently against the Constitution. And yet we have so many lawmakers that are just freely making these recommendations, and it's chipping away at our personal liberties. It doesn't seem to be, there's a fundamental understanding of our Constitution that seems to be lost.
You're so correct. I'd like to reach through the screen and shake your hand. I mean, you're absolutely correct, and you put your finger on a problem that I noticed as soon as I went into the Congress back in the mid 1990s. There are some wonderful men and women serving in the Congress of the United States. Some very smart people. Some not so smart, but there's a lot of smart people there. But I'd say probably the majority of them either really don't understand the proper role of the federal government and the state governments, or they simply don't consider it the way it needs to be considered. And every time you have use of the federal government improperly, use of federal authority that goes beyond the constitutional bounds, it simply lays the groundwork then for the next administration or the next problem that comes up to increase government power even more. Every time there is an increase in government power, it serves as a floor, not a ceiling, for what comes next.
Completely agree. Right now, we're speaking with Congressman Bob Barr. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM, FM 24/7. And we'll be right back.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back everyone to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host Melissa Isaacs. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show today, please check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And of course, don't forget to friend us, like us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. We've been talking with our longtime friend, Congressman Bob Barr, who represented Georgia's 7th District in the House of Representatives from 1995 to 2003, and he now practices law in Atlanta, Georgia, and is chairman of Liberty Guard, which is a nonprofit pro-liberty organization. We've been talking about an article that he wrote, Trump Correct in Dismissing Schumer's Call for Military Control. Congressman Barr, we really appreciate you staying through that break with us and the time that you've given us here on Conservative Commandos radio show. I was looking at your article, and I want you to really clear up something for me. Nancy Pelosi is one of those that you and Melissa were talking about, who doesn't seem to understand the Constitution very well, or the part that the military plays in it, because she has really taken this dismissal of Navy Captain Brett Crozier to heart. And in fact, his commander-in-chief now has issued an apology. I want you to kind of give us an overview of what happened there, why it happened, and why Nancy Pelosi's off base here.
It's a situation that's unfortunate all around, I'd have to say. By the way, just coincidental, I was had the opportunity, I think, on 2 occasions while I was serving in the U.S. House, to go on board the Teddy Roosevelt aircraft carrier, once down near Cuba, Guantanamo, and another time I think we were off of Norfolk. So it's a magnificent ship. As all of our aircraft carriers are. They're absolutely awesome, and the men and women that serve on them are tremendous. I was just amazed, for example, watching night landings and takeoffs from the deck of the Teddy Roosevelt, and the young people who were in charge of directing those aircraft at night in the open sea onto these perfect landings. They were probably 20 years old. It's just amazing. That very responsible, highly professional, and the men and women that serve are to be commended. What happened here seems to have been that Captain Crozier, I think is his name properly, sent out a letter that was well-intentioned, I think. He was concerned, as the commander of every Navy vessel should be, about the health and safety of the men and women under his command. And on an aircraft carrier, that number's in the thousands. And with the problems with coronavirus, and of course our military are not immune from it. We see men and women in the military contracting the virus. The captain apparently was concerned that certain things weren't happening properly, as men and women maybe weren't getting proper treatment off ship. I think they were at Guam. And he wrote a letter. The unfortunate part of this was, and the improper part was, he did not send that letter to the proper authorities up the chain of command from him, which is the way it has to be done in the military. Not only that, but apparently either he or somebody leaked that letter, or the letter quickly found its way to the media. And then it became a public story. It was very, very improper on the part of Captain Crozier to do this. If he had a problem with the Navy not providing proper health facilities and quarantine facilities and medical facilities for some of his sailors and seamen, then he should have raised that issue up the Navy command. He didn't, and not only did he not do that properly, but he did it in a way that raised serious questions by civilians through the media, that then raised further questions about his command and the sailors under his command. None of this was necessary. I think that removing him from command of the Teddy Roosevelt was proper. I did also the remarks that the acting Secretary of the Navy made to the crew of the Roosevelt a few days later. Very strong words. I think, well, here again, well-intentioned, but perhaps a little bit intemperate, shall we say, which sort of surprised me a little bit. But I don't know the acting secretary. So both on the part of Captain Crozier, he did something that was highly improper, and I think he should properly be severely disciplined for it. On the part of the acting secretary, giving a speech to the crew, here again, well-intentioned, but obviously found its way into the civilian arena. Didn't reflect well, I think, on him. So President Trump has indicated that he will be involved, and of course he is the commander-in-chief, and we'll see what happens. But I do think that the Captain Crozier was properly disciplined. Whether or not the discipline went too far is something that the Navy, the Secretary of Defense, and the President ultimately will decide. But we can't have men and women in the military in high positions of authority complaining to the civilian media about something that's going on within the military.
Well, I think the greater point is that they don't go outside the chain of command. There are severe repercussions for going outside your chain of command. And when Senator Schumer calls for what I'm seeing as almost martial law, or the takeover of this coronavirus by a military head, what he's leaving out of the whole equation is that once that happens, nobody gets to talk about that to the guy that's standing in front of them saying, get out of that park, or you're in violation. They're taking orders, and they're not going to listen to your reasons. They have a job to do, and they're going to do what they've been commanded to do. It becomes clear outside of what we as citizens consider our civil rights. All of a sudden, under martial law, we really don't have any, do we, Congressman?
No, and of course, in the military, the notion of due process and equal protection of the law are very different than in a military setting. That's not to say that the men and women that serve in the military don't have and are not entitled to due process, but it has different meaning and different ramifications in the military as opposed to the civilian arena. And you're absolutely correct, Sharon. You put the military in control of the steps that are being taken in various states to defend against the coronavirus. And if they give an order, you follow it. And you don't have the proper protections against arbitrary or unreasonable orders being issued and having the ability to contest them in a civilian setting the way we normally do and the way that we are entitled to do under our Constitution.
Well, unfortunately, like always, we've run out of time. It's always so good to have you here. And I want to finish with what I think is a really great paragraph. You say, it is a seductive argument that Schumer makes, even if prompted by his dislike for the president. But it is fundamentally wrong and reflects either a deep ignorance of the principles on which our nation was founded or a conscious decision to brush those principles aside to make partisan political point. Trump, who categorically rejected Schumer's letter the same day it was sent, understands what is at stake, just as did George Washington before him. Tell our audience, Congressman, how they can friend you, follow you, get a copy of this article, connect with you.
Thank you very much, both of you ladies, for allowing me to be on your show. That particular article was one that I wrote that appeared in the Daily Caller, which I do every Monday. So listeners and viewers can go to the Daily Caller to see my weekly articles. I also write for townhall.com, or they could go to simply bobbarr.org or LawEEF for the Law Enforcement Education Foundation.org and get copies of the very, very eloquent articles that I write, of course.
Well, you do. And thank you so much for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. We'll be right back after this break.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, pinch hitting for Melissa Isaacs. And Sharron, we do have our next guest with us. And as you do with all our guests, please make him feel welcome.
Well, it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce Stephen Moore, who's a senior economic contributor for FreedomWorks. He communicates FreedomWorks' vision for a pro-growth economic agenda to grassroots activists and media nationwide, as well as conducting original economic analysis. Stephen previously served as the president for the Club for Growth, chief economist for the Heritage Foundation, and as a member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. Steve, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hi, Sharon. So good to see you. You're one of my heroes, so it's a pleasure to be with you.
That is such a kind thing to say. You're my hero as well. You wrote an article, Post and liberal media again get it wrong about Trump economy. It's a problem when all the Washington Post's fact checkers play for the liberal team. I couldn't agree more. Wow. I almost don't have to read the article because you said it all in the title. Who are we to believe in all of this?
Well, I think it's a real problem right now, Sharon, that people are really frustrated at trying to get the truth from the media. I wrote that piece a couple months ago before the coronavirus crisis hit about how the media was not reporting on this amazing economy. It's hard to believe. It seems like 10 years ago, but it was only 5 weeks ago. We had the best economy in 50 years in this country, and nobody in the media was reporting it. And now we have this coronavirus situation, and we have a shutdown of the economy. And I'm of the opinion that the media is not presenting both sides of this equation. I don't know where you guys stand on this. I think this lockdown of our economy is really dangerous. I think it's a danger to our freedoms and our conservative values, and mostly to our workers and our businesses in this country that are being very, very harmed by this. And look, I have two good friends that have coronavirus right now. One of them is in the hospital in very dire circumstances, so I'm not in any way understating the problem with this virus and the fact that we obviously have to contain it. But the idea that we're going to shut down, keep a $20 trillion economy shut down for another 2 or 3 months is very dangerous, and would be one of the worst decisions in the history of this country.
Well, we've been talking about it pretty much nonstop on this show, different aspects of it for sure.
Well, do you agree with me?
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. In fact, in the opening of the show, we talked about Israel has said, don't lock down the whole economy. Quarantine the guys that are the most vulnerable. If you are over 60 years old and you have comorbidities or extenuating health conditions, you're the one that should be quarantined. The rest of us should go back to work. How do you feel about that, Steve?
Well, it's so obvious, right? I mean, some of these solutions are so obvious, it's hard to believe that people were not following that advice. Well, look, the death rates are very troubling, but we know who's susceptible to this. We know it's people who have congenital heart disease, people who have obviously over the age of 75, people who have pre-existing conditions. So we know who those people are. And to keep them safe, we want to keep them quarantined so they don't come in contact with people who do have the virus. Now, that doesn't mean nobody's going to get the virus otherwise. We still have problems. By the way, one of the reasons we have such a problem right now is because of a monumental screw-up, one of the most expensive screw-ups by government maybe ever in the history of our country, that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, did not have the testing available, and therefore we're sort of shooting in the dark here. We don't know who has it and who doesn't. And how is it that Korea and China and Japan have the testing, but we don't? Now, we're going to have the testing soon, and once we do, obviously, we can get Americans back to work. But I'm here to tell you, I said this on Laura Ingram's Fox show last night, we cannot wait until much past the end of April. President Trump please get the economy open in the next week or two in places where it can be reopened. I'm not saying New York City, I'm not saying Detroit, I'm not saying New Orleans, but many areas of the country can be reopened in a safe way. By the way, half of our businesses are operating at full capacity today, and they're not reporting huge numbers of people who are getting coronavirus because they're using the best practices. We have to be smart about it. We have to use the best health practices, the best medications available, but we got to get the American economy up and running, and we're talking about a Great Depression.
Okay, I think that's
that's
the thing.
just the way it is.
Well, I think that's what
I'm the most optimistic person in the world, right? But I'm just telling people, you can't keep an economy in a coma for 2 and 3, 4 months and expect it to come back to life. If we don't get it open by May 1st, 2020 is gone, and we have no recovery in 2020. We have 15% unemployment going into the fall. That's really painful. That's really, really painful. By the way, the people who are going to be hurt the most are the lowest income people in our society.
Absolutely right, and of course we put the government Band-Aid on it once again. So talk about this so-called stimulus that's going out there. I want your take on, I've been listening to one talk show host who's been telling everybody who can expect to get their check. Can I get my check if I'm on disability? Can I get my check if I'm a senior citizen? I'm thinking, if you're already getting a government check, why do you need another one? But, who am I? Let's ask the economist. How does this really work? Does this stimulate the economy really, or what are we doing here?
Well, this has been one of my pet peeves, is stop anyone in the media. I'm not talking about you guys, but the media keeps calling this a stimulus bill. Now, there were parts of this bill I approved of. I think that it made sense to give workers some part-time aid for the next few months so we can get over this hump and get, so they can put food on the table and pay their rent and so on. And I also thought it made sense to, in fact, Laffer and Steve Forbes and I all endorsed the idea of having a loan program, so businesses that were healthy a month ago could get a loan for 6 months or a year to get through this, and then they could get up and running. But it has been so perverted. Now they've converted the loan program into a grant program, so what's happening out there on the street is that the companies that are healthy are getting the loans because it's free money. They can get a $5 million basically payment from the government if they don't lay off their workers, which they weren't going to do anyway. And then the businesses that need the loans can't get the loans. So that's turned into a real fiasco, unfortunately. And gee, who would have surprised a massive $2 trillion government program wouldn't go well? But it's not going well, and it's making Obamacare, it's like a repeat of Obamacare. These big, massive government programs never work, Sharron. You know that.
I know, and it isn't, and as you say, it's a misnomer. This is not a stimulus. This is just a giveaway, isn't it?
Well, it's an aid program. It's providing aid for, it was intended to provide aid for the people who needed it and for the businesses who needed it. But you're right, it's become a giveaway with everybody having their hand out. I mean, I can't tell you how many businessmen and women who are actually even conservative oriented. They're like, you mean I can go to the bank and get a free $3 million loan and I don't have to repay it? Well, I'd be stupid not to take it, So that's what's happening right now. And incidentally, isn't it amazing? Think about this. We just passed that bill. I'm losing track of time because these days every day seems the same because we're all locked in our houses. But it was about, 10 days ago or so that we passed that bill. So 10 days later, they pass a $2 trillion bill, and they have to come back to Congress and say we need another $250 billion in less than 2 weeks. And by the way, they're going to, I guarantee you, in 2 more weeks, they're going to come back for $250 billion more. This is like a bottomless pit of money.
Well, it isn't, though. Isn't that the truth?
That's the...
Yeah. Well, talk to us about that. I want to talk consequences now, I guess. You said if we don't get back to work by May 1st, we're in big trouble. What are the consequences? The president wanted to come back right after Easter. I think we could do that if we just did what Israel's doing, and that's everybody get back to work except those that are vulnerable. And so I think his let's go back to work after Easter is still on the table for me anyway. But talk about the consequences of going past April 30th or May 1st, what are the consequences there? And then tell us the consequences of this. Now, what are we at? 26 trillion in debt?
Well, Sharron, to borrow that line from Jack Nicholson, you don't want to know the truth.
We can't handle the truth.
It's bad. Okay? So, I don't want to give you too much shock, but we're talking about at least a year of double-digit unemployment. The economy, every day that goes by, more and more businesses go bankrupt. Look, even with that's the other tragedy. With all this money we're spending, still half of the affected businesses are going to go bankrupt anyway because they don't have revenues. They don't have customers. And you've known this. You both have run businesses. If you don't have revenues, you're out of business, and you have to sell your assets. So we're spending a lot of money and not really helping the problem too much. And I do worry. I'll give you an example of something really stupid that we did, which is we're giving people 100% of their paycheck for the next 4 months, plus additional payments. So you guys aren't going to believe this, but there are a lot of workers in many states, especially the southern states, which have lower incomes, where the workers would be better off staying off the job and watching TV than going back on the job. That's a big problem because 2 months, hopefully in a month, we're going to get workers back on the job. How are you going to get them back on the job if they can get free money for nothing? And so we did so many dumb things in this bill. I'm really, every day that goes by and we start to look at what's in it, it looks more and more rancid to me.
Well, unfortunately, we're at the end of my time with you, and we have to go to a break. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. Of course, now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We've been talking with our good friend Stephen Moore, who is a senior economic contributor for FreedomWorks, about we started out with the Post and the liberal media getting it wrong. We're not getting the facts, but right now we are getting the economic facts, and it doesn't look good. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty? We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! with those sky-high payments. You can't forget about your debt. Always fear, the debt suckers are here.
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. For rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll find our TV show and our radio show there. Our guest this segment is Stephen Moore. He's a senior economic contributor at FreedomWorks. And you know, when this hit, when all this talk of stimulus and bailouts and whatever started, the one person who I thought of, got to get on the program, is Stephen Moore. Steve, thank you for joining us today. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Rick.
holding through that break.
Pleasure.
Stephen, when I look at what's going on in our country today, people say, Rick, how are you? I says, I'm doing fine, but my country is in really, really dire straits. I see what governors and mayors are doing by shutting people down, by shutting businesses down, putting people out of work, as actually creating a depression. And I didn't live through the last Great Depression, but my parents sure did, and I did hear those stories. And I know that depression did not end with social giveaway programs during the FDR administration. It took the Second World War to end that Great Depression. And Stephen, I think our lives have been changed forever. Am I being too pessimistic?
So, one of my best friends in the world, he's 90 years old. He is a great entrepreneur and has been a huge supporter of the free enterprise and free market movement. And he's been a happy warrior for the 40 years or so that I've known him. He called me the other day and he sounded so forlorn. And he told me, he said, Steve, I lived through the Great Depression. I lived through World War II. I lived through the Vietnam War. I lived through 9/11. He said, I have never been more afraid for our country than I am now. And this is, let's be clear, folks, this started out as an act of nature, but this has become a man-made crisis, right? This is a man-made crisis. It was our politicians who shut down our economy. Now, look, I'm not saying that it was huge. Maybe for a few weeks it made some sense. And by the way, I think keeping New York City and New Orleans and Chicago and some of those big major cities where you have big outbreaks of this virus locked down, that probably makes sense. But Boise, Idaho, Lincoln, Nebraska, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, no, those places should be and can be up and running. We have to be very smart about this. There are too many Republicans and Democrats who want to use the power of government to keep the economy down. I live in Maryland right now. We have a Republican governor. He's got these Stalinistic policies. You can't even play golf by yourself. I mean, come on, that's the ultimate form of social distancing, right? I'm playing golf by yourself. So I worry not just about the economy. We talked about that in the last segment. I really worry about the powers that we are granting to government right now. And I'll tell you this is the most important point for you and your listeners. This is a prelude, folks. This is a coming attraction to the climate change fanaticism in this country. So they're using this virus as a way to, quote, protect the public health by taking away your rights and having curfews and martial law. That is coming if the left takes over with climate change. Everything is going to be We have to do this to save the planet. We got to take away your car. We got to tell you what you can eat. We got to tell you this and that, and regulate every part of your economic activity and your personal life, because it's important. We have to save the planet. And I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I really believe that's where we're headed with this.
Stephen, the other day I wrote a little article that says, as the coronavirus, does it give us a crystal ball into bigger government and socialism? So I agree with you on that. I also think.
Well, by the way, Nancy, you don't have. It's not like we're conspiratorialists. I mean, just listen to what the left is saying, folks. Right. I mean, they're telling us what they want to do. We saw the other day Chuck Schumer was the leading Democrat in the Senate saying, well, we want to do Green New Deal. We want to do Medicare for all, and that'll be in the next aid package. It's almost like what they're doing now is using the coronavirus crisis, which is a crisis, as an opportunity to pass the Bernie Sanders agenda. As we speak, Bernie Sanders is out of the presidential election, but I tell you this, his legacy and his policies live on in the Democratic Party.
Stephen, there is one ray of hope. If I could find a ray of hope, or looking for a ray of hope, or looking for a silver cloud, I think, okay, who can pull us out of this mess? Is it going to be a Joe Biden, a Bernie Sanders, a Hillary Clinton, a Michelle Obama, or even a Barack Obama if they had a dual presidency? But I think if there is one ray of hope, the one person that could bring us out of this is already in office, and that's Donald Trump. And not Donald Trump, the person or the individual, but the Donald Trump policies. Am I on to something here?
Yeah, you sure are. I mean, he said that last night in his press conference. He said, look, I created the best economy in 50 years with, as you know, I worked for Trump in the 2016. We did the tax cuts. We did the deregulations. We did the improved trade deals. We promoted the American energy industry. All of these things have made a great difference. And so, yeah, it's great that we have Trump there. But I want to say this, and directed to my friend Sharron Angle, because Sharron, when you and I think, first met, I don't remember how long, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago, it was in the midst of the Tea Party movement.
That's right.
We need a new Tea Party movement right now. We need people in the streets protesting against the invasions of our freedom, the massive amounts of government. They're going to end up borrowing $4, $5, $6 trillion this year.
Wow, that's incredible.
So
Steve,
can you get people in the street? Can you get people protesting? Because that made such a big movement last time. We can stop this. I'm an optimist. We can stop it, but we've got to all speak out.
Well, Steve, I try to be an optimist, and it's been a beautiful day here on the East Coast, but as I look out my window, it's getting dark. So with that darkness, I have to put another cloud over this. Our governors, our mayors, our politicians around the country going to use the coronavirus as an excuse to raise taxes. After all their resources have been taken up by this thing. We have to replenish our coffers. Can we see a big round of tax increases, especially state, county, municipal?
Yeah, yep. That's why what we should be doing at the state, local level is urging every state government, start to cut your spending now. Your revenue's been cut in half. You got to cut everything. Everything that's extraneous that you don't need has to be cut now. Every state thinks they're going to get a big handout from Washington. I hope that doesn't happen. They have to act very prudently. I don't see many states cutting their spending right now. They have to. But the other point here is, I do believe, I don't want to end this on a pessimistic note, because I am an optimist. I think the American people are fed up with this. Every day, I was one of the first people 2 or 3 weeks ago who saying that this lockdown was ill-advised. And when I first started saying it, oh my gosh, I was really raked over the coals. You don't care about people's health, and all you do is care about the stock market. But I got to tell you, people are coming out of the woodwork now and saying this: get the economy up. It's the people at the very bottom that liberals say they care about who are being hurt the most. The gardener who can't get any business. The guy, the immigrant who just came over, who now, I knocked on a cab window the other day. He said, at Union Station, I said, how long have you been waiting? 5 hours to get a ride.
Wow.
Those are the people who are getting killed by this. I mean,
oh my gosh.
And let's think about the small businessman who puts their whole life into building a business, man or woman. And there's nothing like that, to build a business your whole life, putting all your savings, your sweat equity into it, and boom, it's gone because the government has shut down the economy. So those are the people that I'm concerned about. Of course, I'm concerned about people who have coronavirus. We want them to get well, and we don't want to get people infected. But we're talking about millions and millions of people whose lives are going to be ruined by this man-made disaster.
I really do think more people will be ruined from the aftermath of this than the virus itself. Steve Moore, Freedom Works. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Conservative Commandos. Steve, I've been getting something new in my mailbox from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity.
Oh yeah, we're sending out a little newsletter every day. If people want the real news, Sharron, send me your email. It's just a free thing, and people love it. It's giving people a real story about what's happening with our economy and coronavirus.
Steve Moore, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Please tell our audience how they could keep track of what you do and what you write.
Oh, go to either Committee to Unleash Prosperity website or my friends over at the Heritage Foundation.
Stephen Moore, thank you so much for joining us. Take care. God bless. Be safe and healthy out there, my friend.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Well, Sharron, that just about wraps it up for today's show. I want to thank you and Melissa for sitting in my stead, and Always appreciate my co-host here in the Conservative Commandos. But Sharron, please tell our audience how they can keep track of what you're doing when you're not here.
Well, it's simple. Just go to SharronAngle.com, SharronAngle.com. I want to thank our guests. They always make our show great. Melissa was here with me for the first 2 interviews, and we had a great time with Steve Milloy, who's a recognized leader in the fight against junk science. And we talked about never waste a crisis, climate alarmism, surf the coronavirus. So, you know, they're on board now with this coronavirus.
Indeed they are.
How this is going to help with the climate changers. Our second guest was our good friend, Congressman Bob Barr, talking about Trump was correct in dismissing Schumer's call for military control. And we talked about what that would mean if in terms of our personal freedoms and civil rights. And then finally, we talked with our good friend, Stephen Moore from Freedom Works. He has clued us in on either we get back to work or we're in big trouble.
All right. Remember, yesterday, Dr. Gerard Lamera said the same thing. And by the way, that date, May 1st. Stephen said May 1st. Dr. Lamera said May 1st. That's the date. And if we're not back to work by then, wow, I think we're in for a world of hurt like we're not hurting already. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.
Welcome to Buffoon of the Week, where we scour last week's news and current events to nominate people who said or did something monumentally idiotic, and then you get to choose between them and decide who's Buffoon of the Week, because that's the name of the show. Get it? Yay! Before we get to this week's nominees, I want to give a big thanks to everyone who watched last week's video, who voted in our poll, and who subscribed to the channel. Last week, we got to like 20 likes on the video. It was amazing. This week, let's challenge ourselves. I think we can get to 40 likes. What do you think? Let's make it happen. Also, for those new to YouTube, we make voting really easy around here. See that eye in the top right corner of the video? Just click on it and it'll take you right to our poll, and you can vote in it every week. Finally, we're happy to announce that we've launched all kinds of social media goodness for you guys. We set up a Facebook page, we got ourselves on the Twitters, we even set up an Instagram page. So follow and like us everywhere. And of course, you can always find us right here on YouTube. So please like and share wherever you can. Enough about me. Time to get to the nominations. And this week, our first nominee will be presented by one of my awesome friends. She's a brilliant CPA, a shrewd political observer, and in my opinion, way too close with her cat. Joining us by phone, here's Diana Gallo with our first nominee.
Nominee for this week's Buffoon title goes to New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. Let's check out his recent soundbite.
All right. Chuck, it's not true that people everywhere are fighting with all they got because our military is being sidelined and the White House is in denial. It's just not true, Governor.
Well,
I respect you, but that's just not true.
Well, we've got military all over our state doing all kinds of great things, like
you've got National Guard. You do not have the American
helping
military.
with hospitals, and building new hospitals.
The Army National Guard, which is part of the reserve component for the United States Armed Forces, is apparently not the military. The Army National Guard, which was the militia of this country before we were even a country, way back in 1636, is apparently not the military. The Army National Guard, which is administered by the National Guard Bureau, a joint activity of the Army and the Air Force under the Department of Defense, the same bureau which is headed by a 4-star general who is a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is apparently not the military. The men and women who serve in the National Guard, who go through the same basic training as their active duty and reservist counterparts, who get deployed overseas to be on the front lines of these conflicts and wars, who have the same ranks and insignias as the active U.S. Army, who are eligible to receive all U.S. military awards, that National Guard, those men and women, apparently they're not the military. I dare Mayor de Blasio to say to the faces of the hundreds of men and women in uniform currently helping out New York City during this coronavirus crisis, to tell them, you are not the military.
Thanks, Diana, for calling in. If you like what you're seeing so far, click that thumbs up button. We want to get to 40 likes for this video. Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a show. Our second nominee is MSNBC weekend personality Ali Velshi. Velshi started a minor uproar on Twitter when he posted a derisive tweet about Mike Lindell, better known as the My Pillow guy, who announced at a press conference with President Trump in the White House Rose Garden that his company would start making N95 masks in response to the coronavirus pandemic. That tweet drew the ire of some of his colleagues in media, including Greta Van Susteren. Instead of taking a step back, Velshi doubled down in a reply to Van Susteren, inferring that the announcement in the Rose Garden was to further a partisan political purpose and had nothing to do with the coronavirus. By the way, to date, Velshi has made 0 masks. But this proves, even when people act responsibly and altruistically, there will always be those who just can't seem to see past their own personal biases. Okay, before we go any further, we have to give a big shout out to our friends at Less Government More Fun for supporting our ideas for this show. In case you don't know, Less Government More Fun is all about motivating people to take positive action through encouragement and volunteering and less government reliance. Check them out on Twitter at LessGovMoreFun and pick up a t-shirt or maybe some swag by clicking the link in the description below to check out their store. So how in the world are you supposed to compare two such worthy buffoons? With our Sharpton scale of buffoonery, of course. Created by top buffoonologists, the Sharpton scale of buffoonery measures two things. First, you can measure how big of a buffoon each person inherently is, on a scale from 0 to 100, based upon how big of an idiot they have been in the past. We then compare that person to the only known perfect 100 ever measured on the scale, that being its namesake, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Then, on a separate scale with no upper limit, we evaluate the buffoonish magnitude of each act using our custom unit of measurement, the Sharpton. So break out your test tubes and put on those lab coats. It's time to get science-y. Bill de Blasio may be one of the worst quote-unquote successful politicians you've ever come across. Sure, he was elected the mayor of a one-party controlled city, but since then, he has proven to be inept, foolish, and ideologically driven, as evidenced by his dumb decision to embark on a presidential campaign that went absolutely nowhere. Here, de Blasio repeats past mistakes. Years back, he alienated the NYPD with some remarks that he made. Now he's doing potentially the same thing with the National Guard during a crisis. When you don't learn from past buffoonery, you end up rating a higher score on our scale, which is why old Warren Wilhelm here gets a score of 73, and his stupid comments rate 1.24 gigasharptons. I gotta be honest, I didn't know who Ali Velshi was before finding these tweets, so I guess the impact of his buffoonery in the grander scale is somewhat blunted to those who are insiders in politics. However, having a snarky response to Mike Lindell helping out in a global crisis is certainly not the right reaction. But on top of his initial comments, we have a classic double down on buffoonery by Velshi after Greta Van Susteren rightly called him out. Her point that Velshi should take several seats because he's not a creator like Lindell is also very well taken. Sometimes the cover-up is worse than the original action, so while Ali Velshi gets a lower score of 65, his tweets rate a higher 1.71 gigasharptons. Okay, YouTube, you have two very worthy buffoons placed before you. Time to choose who you got for Buffoon of the Week. Vote now. Hey, thanks again for watching the whole video. Remember, we want to try to get this one to 40 likes this week. It's a tall task, but I think we can do it. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to never miss another episode. Thanks again, see you next week.